Like I said, please tweet your questions. If you do have a question and you don't have a Twitter, you want to raise your hand. I'll try to see you and ask you, and I'll repeat it. I have to be on mic, because this is being recorded. But we have one question here from at Marvin the Torch, Nick Rod. Derek, it's for you. He asked, how do you secure funding for communities without addressing the agenda of group organization giving funding?
Okay, I'm going to try to answer that question.
Does it make sense?
Okay.
Nick's here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Groundbreaking work, but oftentimes that money always comes with caveats, So, like, how do you address securing funding without having people given that funding having their hands in the funding?
And so that's actually it's interesting you say that, because I'm on the board for my organization as well, and right now we secure a lot of our funding through donations. We get donations, and then from the community, at least from the communities that we've been in, as well as memberships. So, just to be a member for the nonprofit that I'm a part of. And then they give like monthly, maybe 50 to 100, maybe 1,000. If they're gracious enough. And then but we get most of our money from grants, and so grants can always be a tricky thing. And I'm 20. I've only been doing this for like 2 years now, so it's a process, and I'm still learning how this goes. But I would say, at least what we're trying to do right now is look at organizations that look like us, and oftentimes on their page they'll show like these are their funders. They'll give shout outs and thanks to their funders, and usually those people, at least what we find is that they don't have their pockets, their hands in the nonprofit's pockets, where it's like you can have this money, but you have to do this, and at the same time, it's hard. There will, for us, like, Do More works with Family League. Family League gives us some money, and it's like they have their somewhat of their rules, but they're more lenient, and they kind of give us the freedom to do what they want, to do what we want a little bit. But no, I would definitely. Like, it's tough. It still is tough. But I would say, at the same time, you have to be creative with finding ways to secure money. I remember times, at least a year ago, where we would go down to the harbor with all of our youth poets, and we would just be performing all day at the harbor. I never imagined it, even on the subway, even on the subway. And so, a lot of times, like, you don't know, like, we've secured a lot of money from even just doing performances like that for free. It was just like, and that's how, the money we would get would go to our organization, and then like we would use that money to go into communities and like put on workshops and things like that. So I hope that answers or gives some ideas.
I think that did. And we're short on time, so we're going to get through these questions a bit quickly. Benjamin at, I never know how to pronounce my name. Yeah, Ben Young Savage. Ben Young Savage asks, many organizations, and this is for all of you, many organizations have infighting and disagreements over methods to help. How can organizations better unite? Let's have Katie start.
I think that one of the best ways to settle disputes is to further involve the community. So if you're at a standpoint where you're like, say hypothetically, right, you have these two options of a program that you can use that you think the group came up with that think are the best ones and that fit best in with said community. I think that we would involve the community and ask them, okay, now let's have a community meeting and let's talk about what you all think we should be doing, or here are our drafted ideas, what do you all think, or do you want to add a different idea on there? We'll put that on there also. Honestly, I think that when you're running an organization like BAP, at least, that I'm familiar with, you won't come around that many like really harsh disputes just because you already feel that community sense. So like between BAP people, if someone's having like a disagreement, our mentors will, like, mine is right here. Hi, Jordan. Our mentors will probably be like, all right, well, here's what's happened in the history of BAP. Here are some examples of things like that. So what do you all think now, right? And after that, it usually gets fixed. Like, it's just, you feel so much community with the people that you're with that you're like, yeah, you know what? I think I like your idea, or I see where you're going with it. Let's give it a try. Or maybe we can find a mix of a way to do both, right? So I think it depends on the organization. It's very circumstantial.
Talk it out. Yeah, you can go.
Okay. I do like what you said about involving the community. I think that's very important. But I also think it's important to realize that sometimes you really can't. Like, sometimes you might have things that you just cannot compromise, things that you believe in that you can't compromise and that you will not compromise. So I think sometimes you really can't. So, sad, but.
Oh, I had to move on.
Move on. Live and learn. This question comes from Nitsoi Metal. This is for Katie. How does someone help if they're not in the community?
Don't, I'm kidding. I mean, honestly, my first opinion would be don't, because I think that usually that mindset that, like, I want to help that community anyway comes mostly from an idea that that community can't do it on their own. And that's a very bad idea. Like, that's a very bad, I don't know, that's a very bad perspective to have over a group of people. Like, you should assume that, if anything, their mere perspectives is enough for them to create change, right? Even if they don't have the skill level in advocacy that some of us might have, or like the skill level in community organizing or any type of organizing, their mere perspectives is enough. Now, if that community doesn't have that, they will most likely reach out and be like, hey, we need some training on this and that. Can you all come down and give us a training on that? That would work very well. We've had people have had BAP go out of state and give them trainings on how to do things with youth, right, or how to organize youth, and we'll give them that training. But we won't do that for them. Like, we won't, this is the way you do it. This is the way that we have done it. This is what has worked. It's your decision. And you have to constantly remind them that, like, you have to do this on your own. It has to be your action, right? And funding, money, like, give money. If you're not in that community, give them money, because money's always helpful, right? If you don't have that, then I think even you can also, we've had people who have emailed us, right, to our organization, been like, hey, I don't know what I can do for you all, but here's what I've done. Here's what the skills that I do have. I don't have any money to donate, sorry. But if this in any way, shape, or form can ever help you, call me up.
And I mean, just to add on to that, because I find that resources are the most important thing. And I mean, money, time, as well as, like, what do you have that you can give? And I do agree with, I guess my first thing would also be don't. But then my second thing would be, because I don't know, and this is where kind of, I guess, confrontational with other people's opinions, but I don't often like to deter allies from, like, not engaging, but I would say it's how you engage is probably the most important. So let's say you're maybe a professor at a university. I don't know, this is just an example or scenario. Like, if you could give open up, like, even Red Emma's has a space that Do More used to operate in. It was like, I think it's like the Baltimore Free School, that little square room in the back, that we used to go and have workshops every Sunday for like an hour and 30 minutes. Like, to me, that's an example of giving a resource, at least having just a resource for people to utilize. So it's like, what resources do you have, and can someone else utilize it? And are you fine with offering that up without expecting anything in return? It's really all about sacrifice.
I'm looking at my Twitter, but for a good reason. Yeah, I think you. Another person had a question about what at Smart Black Man. What can the people in this audience do to support your work? I think you guys kind of touched a bit on that. Do you have anything further to add? It's 10 o'clock, by the way.
Baltimore Algebra Project.
I'm sorry, it's 10 o'clock, by the way. So if you, it's.
Donate money. Thank you.
It's 10 o'clock, by the way, so if you do need to leave, this will be the last, I I guess, a few minutes of comments. But if you do need to leave for work, we understand. But continue. What did you say?
Well, I said BaltimoreAlgebProject.org. You can email us to tell us that you want to donate some money, or go on the website page. I mean, also, like, if you, I mean, I see a few youth here too. Like, if you want to get involved, you can definitely do that. Like, our meetings are open. If you want to be a part of us, that's fine. I appreciate you holding that for me. And there are also, like, outreach. Like, there are people in this crowd who might be from other organizations who you could reach out to also, like, hey, what can I do for you? Honestly, it is about giving control to that community, so just ask them what they need.
There you go. Thank you guys so much. Can we give them another round of applause?